Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we are back with another snapshot, and this is Snapshot 25w02a. This is the first update for the next game drop. It is not confirmed what version this will be for, I don't think, but it comes with quite a lot of new ambient changes. The first one you can already see. This is a new block. This is called the Leaf Litter, and as you can see, it's a bit too common in my opinion, because as you can see, it is absolutely everywhere within this forest biome. I think maybe it should be a little bit less. And this block works like the pink petals, where you can place up to 4 in a block, which you can see then fills the whole block. And it can also be placed directional depending on the way you are facing. Now, as for breaking this block, it can be broken with your fist and it's an insta-break. At the moment, it cannot be composted though. I'm guessing that's probably a bug and will be fixed. Another new change in this update is leaves will now drop particles. As you can see, that birch leaf has just dropped a particle of a leaf. All leaves in game will now do this. This is obviously matching with cherry leaves and also with the pale oak. Now, how you obtain this, it seems like you can smelt leaves to get this leaf litter. Let's quickly just grab a furnace and let's grab some coal, as we did just get a new recipe when we got this. So let's throw it in there with a leaf block. And yes, okay, leaves can now be smelted. That is interesting. And it seems like one leaf will get you one leaf litter. Although currently smelting them isn't that necessary because they are pretty much everywhere. Now, other things to note about leaf litter, it can also be used in a furnace as a fuel. So if I throw that in there with some leaves, you can see it will smelt the leaves. And also this can be found in forest biomes, dark oak forests, and also wooded badlands. It does also have custom sound effects for when you're walking in it, also placing it and breaking it. Now let's cover the changes with the leaf blocks, because obviously these now drop particles, every single one of them. So let's just grab all of them. I'm going to avoid the cherry and pale oak because they did already have particles. So let's just place them all in a line like so. And then we can obviously see all the particles falling from beneath them. So if I just stand right here, you can see the birch definitely do. Or that is that birch? Yes, that is birch. I've seen them fall from oak. I think that was azalea they just fell from. But they seem to be way more common from birch. I don't know. That is acacia leaves. That is also dark oak leaves. I haven't seen them fall from the mangrove leaves just yet. They do fall from azalea, which you just saw right there. And they do also fall from the flowering ones, although they don't have a flower on the leaf, which is kind of upsetting. But yes, all of these leaf blocks will now provide a particle when they are placed within the world. This includes naturally generated ones and also player-placed ones. The particles work like the pale oak, where they're not that common. They're not as common as the cherry one. Although one thing I do want to quickly check, have they made the cherry ones work like all the others, or are these still pretty common? No, it seems like they've also updated cherry leaves to work like all the other leaves. Now, before we jump to some other new things, here is what leaves look like in the dark oak forest. Once again, I think they are way too common. I think they need to be toned down quite a bit. You may have noticed I uploaded a TikTok yesterday talking about Minecraft teasing some kind of Loadstone. That was them basically teasing a new recipe for the Loadstone. And if I quickly just grab a crafting table, you can see the Loadstone is way cheaper. It now costs a iron ingot rather than a netherite ingot, so it makes these way more accessible early game. They can now also be found in loot tables of ruined nether portals. Now let's quickly cover some pale garden changes, because there are quite a few of them in this update. First of all, the pale garden biome in general should now be a lot bigger. There is now also a chance you can find the woodland mansion in pale oak biomes. It is just the same woodland mansion, there are no pale oak changes to it. Now let's cover some changes to the creeking itself. So you can now name tag a creeking, ones that are also spawned by creeking hearts. So let's just call this one the creek. And now if I quickly just summon one, so let's just do that right there. You can see, first of all, there is a new texture for the block. This texture is for when it's dormant in daytime. If I was to now set the time to night, you can see the texture then updates to get a lot brighter. A creaking has also been spawned. I just now need to see where this creaking is. It's probably spawned underneath us. Here we go. Here is a creaking. I don't know if it's our creaking. If I punch it, is it going to that one? It is. So the change here is now we have named this creaking. Let's quickly just show you it has got a name. There we go. If I now set the time to daytime, this creaking will persist. It will not die. And this only works if you name them. Now, they still work exactly the same. So when you look at them, they freeze. If you look away from them, they will attack you. The only change is they don't despawn of a day. This does also mean now you can name tag them to kind of create a better resin farm. Because if you name tag them, you can have the farm working of day or night. One thing to note though, they will still despawn if they detect a player within their collision box for more than 5 seconds. The transition between the closed and open eye blossom, this is now dependent on a fixed day and night. These will now open and close at the same time every single day, and they will obviously open and close the same time every single night. Now, before we jump to some other changes, let's jump back to new features within this update. And this next feature is the Wildflowers. These can be found inside of birch forests, which you can see in front of us, and also the tall birch forests, which I think are known as the old growth, and also the meadow biomes. These work like the leaf litters and also the pink petals where they can be placed down, and you can have up to 4 of them in one block. They are also directional depending on the player, and I think these look really cool. It's a change from having the bright pink, so if you want to decorate your base with more of like a natural colour, that is now something you can do with these. They can also be crafted into yellow dye, so that is another way to get yellow dye. And they can also be bone mealed to get more of them like the pink petals, which you can see right there. One quick thing, can you bone meal the leaf litter? So if I blaze this down right here and I bone meal it, no, nothing happens when you click bone meal on the leaf litter. That's good to know. So that's 2 new blocks we have covered, and also the new leaf particle. But there's a new variant to entities within this update, and that is the pig. The pig now has 3 different versions in game. There's a neutral, which will be in most biomes, and there is also a warm and a cold variant. So let's now quickly just head back to our spawn point, because there is a jungle. Jungles are obviously classed as a warm biome. So any pig that spawns within a warm biome will now have this new texture. It looks very much like a capybara in my opinion, but it's also cool because once again it's another collector's item where you can obviously come and collect all pig variants. Now for anyone wondering what biome this pig spawns in, it spawns in savannas, savanna plateaus, windswept savannas, jungles, sparse jungles, bamboo jungles, and then all the badland variants. So the cold biomes are classed as the old growth pine taiga, the old growth spruce taiga, the snowy taiga, the windswept hills, the windswept gravelly hills, and also the windswept forest. So it's not just any biome with snow, which is interesting. So I've now headed to a taiga biome, and if we spawn a pig here, you can see this is the cold variant of pig. Once again, it looks really cool, and it's just a change in pig texture. Now, one other thing to note, when you breed a pig, the baby variant will now be dependent on the adult. So let's quickly just show this. If I spawn one right here, and then one right here, and then I obviously breed these 2 together. So let's breed the pink pig and the cold pig. In this case, there is a 50% chance it could be the pink, and there is a 50% chance it could be the cold variant. Another change they have made to zombified piglings is that these guys will now only drop player-killed loot when killed by players. So this fixes a lot of bugs where you could obviously farm them for XP and things like that. So chunks loaded by a portal will now be reloaded again automatically when the world is reopened. This is a change they've made. Not too sure what this means or how it affects gameplay. But if you do know or you had a issue with this, this is a change they've made. Farm animals can now spawn in the Badlands biome, so you'll be able to find things like pigs, sheep, cows in the Badlands biomes again. And if we head to a meadows biome, grass here is now a little bit less common. And I think this is probably to make way for the new flower. So inside of the music and sound options, I don't know if this option is new, but if you toggle this down, it will now obviously change the volume of the narrator. There's also a change where uploading a world to realms will now enable command blocks by default, and it is now possible to upload hardcore single player worlds to realms. And then the final 2 changes in this update, bubble columns produce less particles and sounds when entities that are affected by them are inside of them, and also if the game detects that the last startup did not complete normally, the full screen option will now be reset. So we've covered everything new within this snapshot. I am just going to quickly mention there are some technical changes in this as well. Data pack is now version 62, resource pack is now version 47. And if we quickly just scroll through, it seems like they've made a lot of changes to commands. and they've also updated quite a lot. They've also adjusted some entity data related things. They've also obviously added a new pig variants, and these can now be data driven, so you can add your own pig variants to the game. There are also some changes to recipes, and there's a new weapon component, which is pretty cool. And then the resource pack changes are very small. It's just obviously updating all the new textures and sounds. And then there are quite a lot of bug fixes within this update as well. But anyway, that is it for this first snapshot of 2025. And it's looking like this update is very promising for a new ambient update. And honestly, if they focus purely on ambience in this update, I'm going to be so happy because the game is lacking ambience quite a lot. But anyway, if you enjoyed, do like and subscribe. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.